Now, since we're on these more philosophical topics, how do you feel about the role of the musician in today's society? What kind of niches do you think we should be filling? And do you think we should be trying to focus on like really one thing to get really great at it, or doing like a variety of things to really run the gamut of what we can do as musicians?
I think that's a great question. I mean, you kind of answered it in the question, but it seems more and more in this society that those that do one thing really well had better either really, really be good at it or be really, really lucky or know somebody. So I think to limit oneself and to kind of pigeonhole oneself in a way is, I won't say a mistake, but it is a little bit more challenging potentially. I mean, we're already in a field where the demand is relatively low and the competition is extremely high. And I know you talked about this with Daryl Bott, and I enjoyed that conversation very much. So I think whatever edge we can give to ourselves, I think is really valuable. There is a line, of course, between being well-rounded and spreading yourself too thin. I mean, nobody wants to do that either. Today's music business demands that we be much more well-rounded, more willing to do things that maybe 10 or 20 years ago musicians wouldn't necessarily want to do. Like community engagement, for example. It's such a hot word and a hot field right now. Teaching artist wasn't even a thing 25 years ago. But now everybody has a teaching artist program. For you to be in a conservatory and say to yourself, oh, well, I'm just going to play trombone and that's it. And I'm going to get a job in an orchestra. You could say that, but you might not. You might not get a job in an orchestra. Even if you get to the final round, let's say, of an audition, they might ask you something like, how do you feel about community engagement, and what do you want to bring, what can you bring to our new program that we just got this enormous grant to start, to go into the inner city in our city? How do you feel about that? Well, if you're not prepared to answer that question, you're probably not going to get the gig. And they are asking now. They are definitely asking those questions. So the more ready you are for those questions and the more open you are to those possibilities and those opportunities, the more successful you have a chance to be. It's a new world, you know. There's a lot of opportunity, and you could see it as a challenge. It certainly is in a way, but I think you have to look at everything as an opportunity also. Did I ever think that I would be in a brass quintet, much less two different brass quintets? No, I was on the path that so many people are on still, where I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna get out there, take some auditions, I'm gonna win an orchestra job, I'm gonna be happy, I'm gonna have all this free time. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, it does for some people, but I was so fortunate to become a member of the New World Symphony, where I learned about community engagement. Later, I became a member of Ensemble Connect in New York at the Carnegie Hall and through Juilliard, where I spent 30 days in a public school in New York working with an elementary school band and the band director. Did I ever think I would be doing that? Never mind touring the world with Canadian Brass or commissioning pieces with ABQ. These other experiences have contributed just as much to my career and to who I am as an artist as any of those other experiences. And do I regret it? Not at all. I mean, I'm so happy with these opportunities. I think if I weren't looking for them, or if I had said, no, I don't want to do that, I want to be in an orchestra, and kind of dismissed that as a possibility, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I think the point there is to just have your eyes open and to be looking for opportunities, because contrary to what the saying is, opportunity does not knock. It's always knocking. It's like always there. It's up to you to see it. And if you look hard, you can find opportunity in pretty much everything around you, everywhere you look.
What stage of your career did you come to this mindset? Did you, like right after school when you got out and you were taking these auditions, did you try to like diversify yourself? Or like you mentioned when you were in school, you were just like, I want to get an orchestra job. Like when did this mindset shift?
I gotta say, I think that those first inklings of this mindset occurred to me at New World. This is after I left my undergrad. It wasn't until after I left my undergrad that I was even 100% sure that I wanted to be a classical musician. And that's another large conversation maybe that we don't have time for. But yeah, that's when the first inklings started. I gotta say, like most things, it's been something that I've learned gradually over many, many years and over many interactions with a lot of really amazing people. And I will say another note about how we interact with people in our business. I've learned so much from my colleagues and from the people that I rub shoulders with, both people that I loved and people that I didn't love. And so I gotta make the point that as a young player is coming up, having all these opportunities for interaction and collaboration with other people, one of the most important things as you make yourself well-rounded and look for opportunities is to be truly good to one another. Everybody knows that sometimes there are the people in the orchestra or at the festival or whatever that maybe they're not super crazy about. The person that everybody kind of scoffs at or ostracizes in a way, maybe without even meaning to. That person is going to be somebody that's in a position to hire you someday. They will. So I've seen it so many times. That person is someone that deserves your good collegiality as well. Learning how to be a good colleague, being kind to one another, knowing that this business is small. Those of us that learn how to be a good colleague early will be rewarded. I think that's super important. Again, it's sort of like looking for opportunities. With every interaction that you have an opportunity to be good, to be kind, and to be a good colleague. And I think if you take that opportunity, it will reward you. It may not feel that way, and it may be hard. And there may be ego involved. You know, it's another massive topic, perhaps for another future episode. But, you know, be kind, be good to one another, and that'll help. It really does help.
Well, I know you've definitely given us all a lot to think about, and thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
My pleasure, Matt.
Yep.
And congratulations on the series. I think it's a really great thing you're doing.